Hi, beautiful mamas from around the world, and welcome back to our final episode in the Mothering in the Dark series, where our focus, our intention, and our inspiration is on igniting you. And our topic in our contemplation station today is giving up the feeling of guilt. And to do this contemplation today, we're going to locate ourselves between who we think we are, which I've put down here as a black dot, and who we are, so that we can notice or become aware in our day-to-day of where we are locating ourselves and how that ignites or dims ourselves. And deep down in the feeling of guilt is a statement of I am wrong. And that can go further into I'm being punished for being wrong. And so the way of speaking or contemplating today is more experiential, in that we're going to just use open questions and get a little bit of practice and comfort in the bigger picture of us, in the freedom from the right and wrong, in the garden just beyond our duality. So let us begin with taking these two ideas of I am wrong, or there is something wrong, or what is happening is a punishment for a past or an ever elusive feeling that I'm missing something, or I'm not quite getting this right, or there must be something wrong in me. And we free up the attention that is on the search for the cause, which is trying to figure out a possible mistake or an incident or an inherent condition. This can go really deep to even feeling like a family curse that keeps me wrong or keeps me restrained or restricted from a more expansive, more open, more ignited experience of who I am. So what if on the spectrum between who I think I am and the truth of who I am, what if this feeling of wrongness is coming from a place of remembering, and this might feel quite elusive too, but what if it's coming from a place of stored, whole, completeness, and not from a place of not knowing? What if my ability to experience disappointment is actually coming from a knowing of satisfaction, of fullness? What if my hurt is actually coming from the knowing and the deep remembering of compassion? What if the ability to feel shock of rejection, or the suffering of a feeling of not belonging, of not fitting in, is actually rooted in an inherent knowing of how incredibly interconnected we are, not only as our own being, but in the greater scheme of life itself? What if our deepest despair at failing to survive well, to do life right, comes from a stored memory of the innate knowing that the design for life is expansive, and implicit within the design for life is wholeness, is collaboration, and that there is enough. What if it is our worthiness and not our unworthiness that reveals the suffering? What if it is our light that is revealing our darkness, and not our darkness revealing our darkness? What if nothing you are experiencing that is happening right now is a punishment? What if there isn't a universe judging your rightness and your wrongness and issuing out a punishment according to its dissatisfaction? What if the unfolding of your day is precise? What if shit's going down and unwanted events are occurring, and this is not a smack on the wrist? It's not the cosmos relegating you to a timeout of restriction from fun and abundance and connection and belonging. What if it's not a message of "I told you so"? What if nothing that is happening is a statement of your inadequacy? What if nothing that is happening is against you? Then what happens is that everything is just a sequence of events that is unfolding. And it becomes a story about what is unfolding. It becomes a story that is unfolding. And our beautiful thinking mind here can start connecting dots in a very different way. So if we're in a very hard situation, if we're in an extreme experience of shock or the unwanted occurring for us, and this moment is current, we notice that our physical body, our physiology, and our mind come on board, and it seems to slow everything down so that we can have the single focus in that moment. It's not about how did this happen, what's going on. It's really just, even if it's just for a moment, it's the taking in of what is unfolding, of what is happening now. If it's not a current situation of trauma, and say now you're in post-trauma, your mind is on overdrive, on trying to catch up with what just happened. Or if it's softer than that and it's just the daily stress, and we're having the experience of one thing on top of another, things just not being able to flow smoothly. You are in it. You are noticing it. You are there. It is happening. But when we're sending it up, when it's part of the bigger story, when it's allowed to just be a sequence of events, the emphasis on the wrongness or the punishment has freed it up into our bigger story. If what is happening is free of wrongness, then our thinking mind will not demand a reason. Okay? If something is going right for us, we don't stop and say, why is this happening? I need to know now. I need to know this answer. We're allowing it to add to and to unfold. So if we aren't demanding a reason and a meaning from the moment, it's allowed to add to the bigger picture of you. It's allowed to reveal what is precise and what is unique in the experience, not necessarily in that exact moment, but in the greater unfolding of your wholeness and your inherent brightness. And then we can come back to where we began. And where we began is, what if everything that is happening is precise? Precise to me, precise to the intentions I've sent out, precise to the instructions for my day, in my practical life, precise to my wishes, in my spiritual, my heart space, in my dream space, in my creative space. What if my flaws are not my flaws and they become my favor? If this is something that in your contemplation has a grip of you, or it's difficult to ground for you, allow your thinking mind to bring up 3 experiences that you have had in your past where the opposite has been true. And it doesn't take long. That's all that your mind needs. If you just keep giving it 3 experiences that you have been in that contradict this wrongness or this punishment as a fact, it automatically comes up into your system, because it is not being held here as a burden, as a problem, as a restriction, as a restraint, as a flaw. And it's released because of the confirmation of where the opposite has been true, and it's allowed to become a sequence in your sequence of events, of your unfolding. Our mind, our thinking mind, that is dualistic, that works in contrast, that works in conflict, so beautifully and willingly assists us on giving up our guilt, giving up our wrongfulness, giving up the idea that we are being punished for an inherent badness or guilt or sin or mistake that we may feel that we were just born into. Our mind, our thinking mind, comes on board so beautifully the minute we give it 3 examples of where the opposite was true, and it is released from the tension of wrong and right and comes into the space of our garden as a meaningful sequence in our events. And it's so cool in our bigger picture and in our wholeness to be able to experience this freedom from an inherent sense of the world against me, judgment on me, something that's always looking for the wrongdoing, waving a finger at me. and allowing myself to be ignited in an open question of what if who I thought I am, or been told I am, or I'm thinking I am in the moment, is completely different. And what if this starts opening new identities, a new perception of seeing myself, and allowing me to enter a space of expansion and growth that is unconditional with myself, that is coming from my space of a contemplation of what if in my greater scheme of things, in the details of me, I am unconditionally complete and whole and in the right place at the right time and unfolding. What if? It's a slightly shorter session today as we come to completion of our Mothering in the Dark series, and I'd like to just extend so much thanks to all of you who have stayed with me or have been with me for an episode or two and come to contemplate and consider igniting you in the expansion of you and the potential that igniting you ignites the world. In my first session, I explained that I came foots toots. This is something that was ignited in me that I've been able to explore together with you, and for that I'm so deeply grateful. It has been a beautiful journey, and please look out for new series. The one that is already launched at the moment is Mother and Child card readings, where we look at particular behaviours such as temper tantrums, swearing, and more so much more, and the relationship, the situation between you and the child in mind. And we work very intuitively in that space, and there'll be more series launched as we go along. But in this moment, I'm thanking you for allowing this one and for connecting with you and giving yourself the space to contemplate the beauty and the bigness and the wholeness and a greater version of who you are and what you bring to this world. So until the next time, lots of love and thanks.